Paul Vaden is in the house because he's here to help us. We're kind of here to help him promote his book. He's got a new book called Answer the Bell. We just can't get his headphones to work in the studio. And since we fired all the engineers that once worked here, because in the radio business you no longer have money to have an engineer, we have nobody that can help. So can somebody help me out here? What do you think? Oh, wait a second. Look at Billy Ray. Look at Billy Ray go. That is a superstar.
How do you like that?
That is good.
Yeah.
I think we have every set of headphones that's in this place. None of them work.
It's too big.
It's too big? Oh, wait a second. Here he goes. Oh, now can you hear?
He's got the wrong pair off. Come on now.
Let's see if these work. All right, here's Paul Vaden. There he is.
1, 2, 3.
Perfect.
Yeah, now you can hear.
There
Hey!
Now we can work on through
Hey!
Now we can work on.
All right, there we go. See, you got to answer the bell.
That's right.
Is what you got to do. When you can't hear and the
Thank you,
headphones
VR.
don't
You got to
work,
be able to hear the bell to
Right,
answer
exactly.
it.
Right, you gotta be able to-
know
right.
that the bell is ringing.
you got to answer the bell is what you got to do.
Exactly right.
Paul Vaden, what is going on, brother?
Everything, man. First off, thank you for having me here, both of you. Everything. Just been just being led and rendering the messages to people about how Answer the Bell is relevant to not just myself, but to all. And
Well, what inspires you? All of these years after your boxing career, and what years were you champion?
1994, 1995,
Okay, and what year was your last fight?
2000. My real fight or my last fight my last fight to me was 1999.
Well, okay, tell me what you mean by your last fight. Was
Well, my
99?
last fight as a boxer was November 20th, 1999, when I fought against Stephon Johnson. When the situation happened, I came back to the ring, not as a boxer, but as an individual who needed to see if I was going to live or die. I don't consider that as a boxing match, just because everything I had to go through.
Well, who was the fight against in 2000?
Very good fighter by the name Jose Shabata Flores, really good fighter.
And what happened in that fight?
I heard the final bell, the 12th round. I lost the decision, but I won my life back.
All right, we're going to have to back up. We're clearly going to have to back up. This is Paul Vaden. And just real quick, just to give everybody a little history, we always say you're the only San Diego born and bred world champion boxer. What part of town did you grow up in?
Southeast San Diego.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school at actually Patrick Henry High, but I was bused there. And but I grew up in the Lincoln High area. I lived in an area called Ghost Town.
Ghost Town. What was going on down in Ghost Town?
A lot of ghosts.
Really?
I was inside most of the time at night. So,
Really?
Yes.
Really?
So when did you start your boxing? What gym did you start?
I started boxing in 1976 at the age of 8 years old, and I've loved boxing since I was 4. The first time I laid eyes on this individual, Mr. Muhammad Ali, I just wanted to do what he was doing, and I had no way, no outlet, or just of performing this, and didn't know if there was, like I said, the vehicle. I didn't have that. But once I got to the Jackie Robinson YMCA, and I went there strictly to be involved with the summer camp. And the last feature there was the boxing ring that the individual, Mr. Robert Coons, the program director, took us to. And when I saw that, I was all in. I didn't even know, but my question that I asked him, was I too young to box?
How old were you? 8?
8 years old.
Uh-huh.
In the summer of 1976. And I noticed how I said that, was I too young to box? I didn't say, am I old enough? Because I was ready for him to tell me that I was too young. And he says, no. And so you got to remember something. I was this kid who was his mama's boy, and my father was taking me there. And being this wimp, of all the things to ask my father to do, being that I wanted to box.
Why were you such a wimp? What do you mean by that?
Well, my mom, I'm the oldest of 3. My mom didn't want me to get dirty, so I was always underneath her. So my whole love for boxing was just fascination. When I would see him on TV, I'd become fascinated.
Muhammad Ali.
When I see Muhammad Ali, and I would just get all totally fascinated. So a lot of people, when they grow up at 4 years old, they're into superheroes like, Batman and Superman and all that stuff.
But
and
for you, Superman was Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali was my Superman.
Right.
And so that's what I'm saying. So it wasn't like I was in the fights and I started boxing because of that, or I was hyperactive.
It wasn't like you were like a street kid,
Not at all.
like Mike Tyson,
No.
who got into a fight.
Not at
And
all.
You wanted to learn how to be Ali. You
wanted
wanted
to
to be that guy that you saw.
Something about him and what he did and the way, and like I said, I couldn't really convey it properly or orchestrate what he was doing, but it was just something that was very special about what he was doing, because after that I would see other boxers and just the sight with him with those gloves on and what he was doing. And this is 1971.
Okay, so let's just go back to what you were saying, though.
Go back,
Your
yeah.
last fight was 1999.
No, 2000. April 15th was my last fight, correct, as a boxer.
Your last fight as a boxer was 99. And and you're boxing against who?
That was Stephon Johnson.
Okay, and Stephon Johnson. What happens in that fight?
I knocked him out in the 10th round.
Okay.
And he never would regain consciousness, and he would die 15 days later. So anyone who knows me knows that, I say this all the time. The boxing pundits always said I was too nice for boxing. I smiled too much. I didn't have what you term the killer instinct and whatever. I just love how artistic boxing can be when it's done well. And I want to win more than any. I want to win. But if anything was going to create my exit as a boxer, as a performer, that would be it, and it did.
So, how long did it take you to come back from that?
To come back?
Are you still coming back from that?
Well,
yeah,
I don't. There's never a day. There's not one day that I do not think about it. Wow. But come back from it, as far as come back to life and the way I need to be. Well, that's why I had to come back to the ring, because I was very difficult to live with. I was married at the time. I've got a boy who's at the time 3 years old, and I've got to function now. Just being this. Once I became champion of the world, the beauty about that is I fulfilled my prophecy, but I was like, okay, I didn't stop there. By that time, there was other areas of life that I wanted to excel at. So I wanted to be a champion at life by that time. So it's like, okay, now you're champion of the world. How am I going to get to that thriller level that we talk about? How am I going to take it to that?
Hold on, time out. He
here
says
he
thriller
comes.
level. He says thriller level, and you got to stop. I got to stop. Paul Vaden, because now once he says the thriller level, now we've gone from Muhammad Ali right into Michael Jackson. right. So now I'm going to have to play some Michael Jackson songs. I'm going to have to dance a little bit.
Put on your
gloves.
I'm
going to have to start. Because
not those gloves.
You wanted to be the champion of the world. You became the champion of the world.
Yeah.
Now you wanted to get to the thriller level.
There you go.
So not only was Muhammad Ali your idol, but Michael Jackson was your idol.
Michael Jackson, and that was at the same age bracket, was Michael Jackson. I've been in him since I was 4 years old as well. And as I grew older, I understood that the way that I dug getting to where I needed to get was having inspirations. It didn't necessarily just have to be a boxer or an athlete. It had to be a performer. I remember a lot, and this is not. I had my own syndicate, Ultimate Sports Associates, and we were in a meeting one time.
What does that mean? Your own syndicate? What does that mean? When I turned pro, I had all the guys, Bob Arum, King, all wanted me to align with them as far as a professional, and I didn't want to start out that route. I kind of wanted to create my own course and fight out here and have some say so. So I had a syndicate of 5 different businessmen who were very, very instrumental and helpful in my development in my beginning. And I remember I always would say that my matches were concerts. My boxing, I didn't have boxing practice. I had rehearsal. So my manager, Arnie Rosenthal, he would always say, have a good rehearsal, because he knew that that's what I wanted to hear. I had a good practice, or it was rehearsal for me. I would go into the studio to get ready for. So you weren't training; you were rehearsing.
I was rehearsing.
Okay, so I just want to go back to this though, Paul. And so Paul Vaden, again, the only ever born and bred San Diego World Boxing Champion, many years later now has a new book called Answer the Bell. Now hold on, you the last time you were in the ring was in, what was the date?
In the ring was April 15th, 2000.
And the match prior to that was the one where the guy was killed in the ring.
November 20th, 1999.
Okay, so like 8 months later or so, you got back into the ring.
I had to.
Now, when you say you had to, I mean, like, I think of Ray Mancini, and I think of it being like a long time after he killed, what was the guy's name? Dooku Kim?
Dooku Kim.
Okay. I feel like it took a long, long, long time for Ray Mancini to get back into the ring. You got back into the ring in a normal period of time.
Yeah, then I normally would fight, correct.
Right. So, but you felt like you had to get back into the ring after the guy died? For what? I'm trying to get to this.
Because the areas, like I said, where I needed to go as far as not just as a boxer, because once I became champion, it was about being champion in other avenues of life. I wanted to be a champion now.
So you weren't satisfied with being the world's boxing champion in your weight class?
No, I was definitely satisfied. I reached a goal, but now it's like to have all these things happen, and then at the expense of that, I mean, not winning the title, but then I do that, and then I have a couple fights later, and that happens. No, I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't want someone. I wouldn't trade in for that.
How crushed were you? How destroyed were you emotionally that this guy died? Because you just said you didn't have a killer instinct. Too many people said you were too nice to be a pro boxer, and you accidentally. I mean, you killed a guy.
Okay.
And how much did you suffer in terms of trying to get back into the ring? I mean, were you conscious of, I've got to get back into the ring because I want to do other things in life?
I had to get back into the ring because, and let me say this real quick. I also had that in 1999. I had to endure two other significant, horrific episodes. My cousin committed suicide earlier that year of 1999. His father, my uncle, would follow up in August 9th and do the same thing. So boxing has always been, I always say, it's my Calgon. It's my take me away. It's it's a way for me to escape for anything. I could be having problems with a girl. I could be having any situational process that's negative. I can go into that studio and rehearse and go away and then come back and go, okay, back to the real world.
All right, wait, hold on one second. Linda, are you listening to all this?
Hi, Linda.
I am. Hi, how are you?
Linda,
Nice to meet you.
Linda, give me, Billy Ray and I are in the middle of this, and we're kind of both entranced by what Paul's saying. Give me an outsider. You're in the other room. You're hearing it. What do you think about all this?
I'm just amazed. I mean, it's quite a story. And I missed the first half of it because I was editing sound, but then I jumped in right at the Michael Jackson part and this is
the thriller.
The thriller.
The rehearsals.
Yes. Which, just out of curiosity, I mean, you said, Michael, I just heard the front part of that, but, after, with the allegations later, Michael Jackson, did that change your opinion of him at all?
No.
Not at all?
I don't believe that.
What do you mean you don't believe it?
Oh, come on now.
What do you mean?
Do you honestly think I would be following someone that I believed those allegations?
Well, so you've lied to yourself.
Here I am, a guy who, I mean, as far as the commitments I have to children, the love for children, and whatever. Do you honestly think that I would follow? I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know.
So you blocked out the truth.
You refuse to believe that he's
He's
guilty
a kid
of that.
toucher.
You just believe he's not guilty.
I understand how people can distort things and how people can lure people into certain lies just for the love of money. He wrote a song about that.
What is that called?
Money.
Oh. All right, Paul Vaden
I'm
is
sorry.
in
I
studio.
didn't mean to derail. I was just curious as soon as I popped in on that.
Paul,
but I love your story.
PaulVaden.com is the website. Answer the Bell is the book. Paul's going to tell us how he wound up putting together this book all these years after his professional boxing career, how it's doing, who's reading it, etc. Paul Vaden, the only ever born and bred San Diego World Boxing Champion, in studio. Gary Player in about 15 minutes. Stay with us. It's Scott and BR.
San Diego sports leader, the mighty 1090.
All right, Gary Player coming up shortly on Scott and BR. This is the Mighty 1090. Paul Vaden is in studio. His website is paulvaden.com.
Boxers and golfers and all that stuff, man. That's good.
People are already chiming in on Twitter that they're psyched that you're a Patrick Henry High alum.
Oh, cool.
All right, so dude, we were talking about what had gone on in your life. In a boxing match in 99, guy dies, and you were not a killer in the ring. You were more of a performer, kind of a science lover of boxing, right? You kind of, and I know you've told us this before, you enjoyed the part of boxing where you would work a guy over for 12 rounds. It wasn't about just walking in and knocking a guy out.
I really loved taking someone to deep waters, and because I was in unbelievable shape, and I wasn't going anywhere. I was difficult to hit, and loved using my speed. And you may not be the way you liked the way the chorus line was going, but eventually as things started to unravel, unfold, as we get towards each stanza in the later rounds, I was going to do my thing on you, and I was getting stronger. So I loved that process, and they were normally getting winded and they were getting hit often and like highly lacerated. And I like that process.
Highly lacerated.
Not
all cut up and bloody.
No, not bleeding.
Are you okay? Are you okay? Because you seem highly lacerated. Yeah. Are you doing okay?
Are those lacerations? Am I right or wrong?
I mean, you're such a sweetheart. Did you ever have a moment in the ring where you had a guy and you're beating him up in the corner and you're like, hey, are you doing all right? Or do you want me to stop? Or
how many fingers am I holding? One?
I just like
red one?
I like the process. I just like the whole process because you work that hard and that commitment with your team and yourself, and like I said, getting that inner drive to get up in the morning and visualize the whole. I always visualize the long process.
So, at the end of the day, who do you blame for the boxer that lost his life in a bout against you?
Oh yeah, it took a while for me to get beyond myself, but definitely the athletic commission, the New Jersey Athletic Commission.
Why? What happened? Why?
They didn't do their due diligence.
Which means what? The fight should have been stopped sooner?
Well, no, not that. He shouldn't even been fighting in the first place. I didn't know that he had a situation episode that was similar, like within that same year in Canada. And he had a couple of fights against three individuals before me. He won and got in this title shot position, and they got him ranked. And I think people, like I said, no one obviously thought this was going to happen. And so I definitely now I'm at this place where it would definitely have to be that.
Was it one punch that, or
So,
was?
It's through the course. You're not going to go through a course of fights. Very seldom. There's been times in my life where you're not going to go through I call it a dinner outing with me and not get hit often. So I mean, and I'm not saying that being braggadocious or anything, but I throw punches in volumes. And
Let me ask you this: the last fight you had, you said was in 2000. Last time you were in the boxing ring was 2000. Okay, and I know you're playing with words here. The last fight versus the last.
Right.
What did you call it? I mean,
Well, it was just my last time that I was in the ring.
okay, so that was 2000. 13 years later, how old are
Yes.
you now?
I'm 45.
Okay, what makes you write a book now, as opposed to writing a book like right after when you were still sort of, I'm going to put this in quotes, a hot commodity.
Right.
I mean, 13 years after the fact, you're not fighting anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You've moved on to a career in business. You have a real job.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I always think of fighters as getting done
Mm-hmm.
and being broke and down on their luck and having 20 kids with 20 different women.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, Evander Holyfield, I
Right.
used to see him with these giant mansions, and now the word is that he's still trying to fight at 50 years old or
Right.
whatever because he
Right.
got Mike Tyson has lost it, was a villain, but now he's back and people love him.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't hear about guys leaving pro boxing and becoming business people, going to work for big companies like you have. Back to the original question. Why a book now?
Because that champion never left me. See, I always tell people, they say, what happens when the lights go down? And I say, they don't have to if you do things right, if you treat people right, and if you don't, like I say, I've been patient, just like I was in the ring, and I took my time, and I got my story correct, and I knew that my story, and I know my story is not over. I'm going to have more of an effect on people and life than I ever had in the ring. So when you say as far as that my last punch, well, yeah, that was my last time as far as being a champion in the ring. My goal is to have a profound effect on human life, people, motivate other champions, because I know what it feels like. I know what it is like to be champ. My swag is all about being a champion. So why now is because the world needs it. The world needs to hear positivity. The world needs to hear higher hope. The world right now, all we hear and read about is negativity. Look at the news. Yeah. There's very seldom anything good. I want to give you hope. I want to give you drive to get up and do whatever, be it with your family, be it through the course of your job. And that's why I am where I am, because I've never lost that light. I've never lost that light of hope as far as a champion. It's never left.
The name of the book is Answer the Bell, and I got to ask you, did you write it? Did you have a ghostwriter? Did you have help writing it? And I mean, how hard was it, especially if you were working with somebody? Because I can tell. I mean, you can just hear how eloquent you are.
Thank you.
It must be difficult if you ever had to work with somebody. You know what I'm saying?
You are so right. I started off with someone and just exactly what you just said. So it ended,
No,
as you
it's
see,
not like that.
as you just said, you see, it ended up being Paul Vaden, because that's exact. What you just said is so accurate. Yeah. It was driving me insane, and I'm a very patient person. I didn't say it like that. I would scream just like the continuum of mistakes, and so it finally got. I started out originally with the ghostwriter, but then it became about me. And one of the things that I would like to say that was very emotional, but at the same time something that's fulfilling. Today is July 11th. My father would have been 73 today, and he was such an important person in my life. And every time I thought about being champion of the world, and I'd have those visuals of being champion of the world, it's interesting. I always thought of being in my thankfulness of having the opportunity to thank my father. And of course, when I won my belts, my father was not alive. He died in May 24th of 1992. And how great is it now that everything I do when I speak, I talk about my father and how beneficial it was as far as the things that he taught me, the basic fundamentals of life, how to treat people. How great is it that I can put that in a book and convey my feelings for my father and everything that he gave to me. And so,
well, not just for the people reading the book, but for yourself.
For myself,
Right?
it's just a beautiful.
Man.
I mean, I can't tell you how it makes me feel.
So what do you do now with this book? Do you go out and speak? Is the book selling well? I mean, where do
book
people
is doing
buy
very
it?
well in the UK. You can go online on paulvaden.com. Like I said, it's either on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, and it's in selected stores. What do I do with this? I mean, I do quite a bit of speaking, like I said, as far as various companies. I just signed with ResMed as far as doing things with them, Underground Elephant, Aces, and there's so many. No one is immune having to answer the bell. You can choose and say it's not for me, or you can say I've got it all together. Well, the individual who thinks he or she has it all together, I really don't need to be involved with that person either, because every day
they've got it all together.
They've got it all together. But I will say this, as a champion, every day I live life like I need to win the next round, like my next meal depends on it. So if you're so together and got it all wrapped up, then you don't need my help. But I think most of us do. And from what I've been hearing from the people and the feedback of different companies, organizations, they seem to be embracing the methodology of the way I'm coming at it.
Awesome. Wow. Pretty heavy stuff, dude.
Yeah.
What was the most money you ever made in a fight?
Oh, I knew I did very well. That's all I can say.
No, I want to know what the most money was you ever made in a fight.
I did very well. I'm not gonna say.
Why?
You don't have to say. Just show them with fingers.
like I always think of fighters like when I look now
They
like
did very
Mayweather,
well.
they make $20 million a fight.
I never made $20 million.
You ever make $5 million a fight?
I won't say.
You ever make more than $1 million for a fight?
Yes.
More than $5 million for a fight?
I'm not gonna say.
I guess what I'm asking is, the reason I'm asking is really not just to pry, but I wonder this though, like, is there still money left over from that career, that great career, really?
Correct. But more importantly is there's a career beyond just boxing. So what basically happens, I've created something through the vehicle of having this gift that God has blessed me with as a champion to now implore others to be a champion, and I've reinvented myself, so to speak, and people want to hear it, and they want to pay to hear it.
So are you getting paid as much as you did when you were fighting?
I'm doing very well.
Would he ever do a Sports Illustrated body issue?
You know what? You guys had me cracking up yesterday on that, and coming here listening. No, never. There's never in a time in my life, and you're talking about a boxer who's exposed and the amount of weight that I would lose and put myself through. I was never that vain about that aspect of my boxing. I like the fact of being in shape, but not as far as saying, "Oh gosh, look at me, look at my abs." I've never a place in. But I had my thing for me in my weight class. I had to be in shape because the amount of weight I had to lose. So
how much did you walk around at?
I walked around at 185, 190. But I mean, with my height and everything, that's probably what I should have been.
What'd you fight at?
154 pounds. So imagine me.
What do you weigh now?
Eating 185, 100. Yeah, somewhere 185, 190.
Well, let me ask you one final question.
I was about to ask you to take a pull.
No. One final question. You said you grew up in Southeast San Diego.
Yes.
You said you didn't go out at night because it was a tough neighborhood.
I was inside dreaming all the time. But yeah, it was a tough neighborhood. My fault. Yeah. I didn't want to be around trouble.
But when people found out that you were a boxer, 12, 13, 14 years old.
Yeah, you don't.
And you were the nice guy. Big smile,
right.
mama's boy, sweetheart guy.
Right.
Did people try and mess with you?
There's always been some episodes, but we set that straight real quick. I'm all about peace, but at the same time, you just like in boxing, I love fighting off the ropes. But just because you put me on the ropes doesn't mean what's coming back at you is not going to be wicked. So
you wound up getting into a lot of street fights as a result.
Not a lot. Like I said, it only take a couple times for you to show a couple episodes. The news
got around.
As my dad would say, you get the one person, and then the other two, number three, is not going to be that foolish to step into
There
that.
must be a story associated
There
with
are some
this,
good
though. Come on,
stories.
give me one. Give me one.
Yeah.
A bully must have messed with you at some point.
I was just one guy. I was wearing. I love all colors. I love red and blues. I love all those colors. I was wearing red, and the guy. I was getting off a trolley, and I was 19, and
You were 19 years old?
Yeah.
Red
18,
pants,
19.
red suit.
I had red. I know, just had red, like a red sweatshirt, and I was coming off the trolley, and the guy followed me at the time, and it was like asking me, like, and you're gonna give me cotton. Now somebody's gonna see me in blue. I was wearing the wrong colors for that person. They followed me all over, and so, anyways, he kept following me, pursuing. My father always gave me the 3 warning rule. I mean, as far as, and if I hadn't did anything, eventually that person was going to get more and more bold and would have did something to me. So when he touched me right here, he didn't realize, I mean, there's so many steps that I can do. I mean, so he walked right in. I mean, I was at a right hand, left hook, and there, as Ali said, there he is. There he is.
This is radio, so when he said he touched me right here, he's pointing to his shoulder.
Yeah, my shoulder. Yes, she touched me on my shoulder, and but which
you,
was grab me.
Just
and
needed to get that straight.
Right, thanks. I mean, it was dramatic enough without knowing exactly where he touched him. Because maybe he was going to touch him somewhere else. There was a lot of imagination there, Linda.
He really would have got hit.
It piqued my interest. Back to the Michael Jackson thing.
You better quit.
Yeah, you better give me some Michael Jackson on the way out here, Alex.
Before I go, can I say something real quick?
Please.
And this is an avid listener to you guys' show. This is the Nahara family, Yogi Nahara. I just want to send a shout out to him. He listens to you guys, a big fan of you guys. So I wanted to send a shout out to them. Much love to the Nahara family, Yogi. And here's my favorite song, Man in the Mirror. Playing, I'm about to sing some song. Love you, Yogi.
All right, Paul Vaden. Paul, anytime. You're always welcome.
Thank you so much. Answer the bell.
Congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
Answer the bell.
When we call you for, your opinions on things, answer the bell.
Answer the bell.
Right,
I will. I
right.
promise.
Right.
And I know I'm
Always
giving you a
will.
little bit of a hard time, but I want you to know how much that book has and your message has meant.
Thank you.
Because there were times where I was down on that mat.
Thank you.
And I had to climb back up.
That's right.
And I had to answer the bell.
That's right.
All right, man.
Love it, man.
Love you too, brother. Right on. Linda, update time. And then Gary Player. So you see all that talk about would you take your clothes off? You're about to hear what Gary Player had to say about it.
77.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, Paul. You can do it.
Gary Player is next. Linda's got the update. He's starting with the man in the mirror.
Uh-huh.
Shimon.
Shimon.
Paul Vaden stopping by.